All right, y'all, we are back with another video, and y'all obviously loving these right here, especially the way Candace Owens is not holding back at all. She is exposing Kamala Harris, especially when you're running for president and you're trying to pander to black people. One day you Indian, the next day you black. Depending on whatever crowd she's in front of is who she try to pander to. Go watch all her little her videos, her press conference, or whatever. She's talking to the people or at her rallies. Whomever she's in front of is who she tried to pander to. And now she's trying to use that she's black when she's on video saying that she's Indian. So trying to lie to the American people just to get in office. And I don't like these identity politics. I don't like you vote for a president because of their skin color. I don't like that. You vote based on policies, what is going to help the American people, what's going to help our families. And what Kamala is doing is not going to help us. We need Donald J. Trump in office. That's who we need to make America great again. Not the clown, the woman that sit up here and lie all the time, Kamala Harris, her and that dumb laugh. We're tired of it. So like I said, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. Candace Owens says she's not going to give up on this. She's going to keep digging and digging until she find out about Kamala Harris. So if you don't want to miss out and you want to stay up to date with all of this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with your notifications turned on. Make sure you got them turned to all. And let's go ahead and dive straight into this, y'all. Let's go.
Well, where should we begin? You guys have heard of whitewashing history, but have you heard of blackwashing? Blackwashing is when you're a politician and it's election season and suddenly you have to relate to black people. So you just sort of start making stuff up to blackify yourself, your history. Yep. You start dropping a bunch of slang and colloquialisms and hoping that the people will therefore understand you. Honestly, it's become something of a democratic rite of passage. Except this time, I think we may have caught the culprit red-handed. Of course, I'm speaking about Kamala Harris. I think her and her campaign team are really going to regret the day that their media henchmen came for Janet Jackson.
Yep.
Welcome back to Candace.
Yep.
I'm literally buzzing with excitement right now for what we just discovered. Obviously, we are running a little bit late today, but as I said, it will be well worth the wait. So yesterday, we were getting closer and closer, asking questions, obviously, about Kamala's genealogy. If you need to go back, you can do that. Begin with episode 70 and work your way forward to see how this mystery has unfolded. So we were left with some major holes in Kamala's genealogy. We had from her father, Donald J. Harris, that he grew up in Jamaica and was raised by his grandmother, Miss Iris. He effectively wrote an entire piece about his Jamaican heritage and really focused on his grandmother, like she is the person that made the most difference for him. He honorably mentioned Miss Iris's husband, who he only referred to as Mr. Christie, and remained conspicuously silent about his own mother. How do you do that? How do you just say one sentence about your mother, refer to her as Miss Beryl? And I want to be clear, you're writing this for the population, right? You're talking about your heritage. Even if you called your mother Miss Beryl, you would probably, for the sake of...
I had somebody said that in the comment section. A lot of people like, hey, I call my mom by her real name. Hey, I call my grandma. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that everybody does that. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people that I know, like, they don't do that because I know a lot of parents don't play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, your mama, a lot of people's mom is not going to allow you to call them by their real name. Your grandma, your granddad's not finna allow you to call them by their real name. You know, I'm pretty sure some parents don't care. They might let you do that. But the majority of a lot of parents do not like that. You know, regardless of how old I am, I'm going to always say mama. I'm not going to call her by her real name. You know, but like I say, everybody's different.
Wanting people to be clear on who you're referring to, list her full name. He didn't do that. He just said one sentence. This is not to, you know, ignore my mother, Miss Beryl. And that was it. And we know that her full name, according to her birth certificate, is Beryl Magdalene Finnegan. And we know that at various times she took on the middle name Christie.
Oh.
He also mentioned in that piece that his father was Mass Oscar. I guess, again, that is kind of a slang way of referring to his father. But I was completely stumped. I was completely stumped as I was looking further into this because I could not find a marriage record between his father, Oscar Joseph Harris, Miss Oscar, and his mother, Beryl Finnegan. Like, this is something that to me seemed really odd. And some people who wanted to rationalize it were saying, oh, no, that's just how things were. And sometimes people didn't have record. No, I wasn't buying any of that because we were dealing with a family that had money. It is just a fact that Kamala Harris's family descends from slavers. They were given money for their slaves. Somebody did the calculation, essentially, for that day and time, it would have been $11 million that they inherited for their slaves once it was abolished. It is why when he speaks about his Jamaican heritage, he speaks about them as having owned stores, right? Yeah. So this is not your typical Black story that we're referring to here. And so I expected very much for there to be a record of marriage. Yeah. Oddly, as you guys will recall, any records that I did find suggested to me that Beryl may have been the domestic help, who may have also given birth to a son named Donald, born in 1938, who died before he even turned 2. So that was very strange. Yeah. Question marks. We were like, okay, we're seeing this Beryl, we're seeing this Donald Harris, we're seeing that an infant died. What's really going on here? Why is it starting to feel like a scary movie? But of course, we want to rationalize it ourselves. Like, maybe it is just a coincidence that another Beryl had another Donald in 1938 in St. Aaron Parish, and we shouldn't look too far into that. What we knew for certain was that Beryl, the correct Beryl, was married at the age of 25. So Donald Harris, who was presenting as Kamala's father, would have been 6 years old. She got married to a man named Lawford Newland, who he has completely erased from his childhood historical account. When he wrote this piece, he did not mention a Lawford Newland, a stepdaddy named Lawford Newland. And that was odd because then it would suggest that she would have had to have married his father, Oscar Joseph Harris, after that. So have the kid, marry someone else, and then go back and marry your baby daddy. I don't know, but I needed to find some records. We also couldn't find a divorce record, by the way, between Lawford Newland and Beryl Finnegan. Where's the divorce record? We did see that he went to America. We searched there. He went through New Orleans. We went through California. We just could not find anything. And in my view, there were too many holes in his account. Numbers that he got wrong about the siblings. I just felt that there was a secret here. So I decided that we needed more information specifically about Donald J. Harris himself. And we couldn't find a birth certificate for him, which I flagged as odd. And I also wanted to find that marriage certificate between his father, Oscar J. Harris, and his mother, Beryl Finnegan. That was crucial to me.
Yeah.
So here's what we stumbled upon. More information about Donald J. Harris appeared to us. This is going to get crazy, you guys. I'll tell you how we put this together.
Uh-oh, let's go.
Through old Jamaican newspaper clippings that have been digitized. So first and foremost, this one fact checks, but it was a little bit of tidbit of an information that I thought was interesting. It was a wedding announcement that was published in the Kingston Gleaner. That's the name of the newspaper. It was published, as you can see here, November 1st, 1963, which just announces the wedding of presumably Kamala's mother, as we're told, Shyamala Goplin, to Donald J. Harris. It reads, he is the son of Oscar J. Harris of Spanish Town and Mrs. Beryl Finnegan. Okay. It writes before leaving, it says before leaving Jamaica in and can you pull that up because I couldn't read it for clarity, but it says before leaving Jamaica in, it looks like maybe I don't want to guess it, like, Mr. Harris worked for the Jamaican Information Service. Okay, what is the Jamaican Information Service? That's what I asked myself. What is that? I'll tell you what it is. The Jamaican Information Service is an executive agency of the government of Jamaica that is responsible for disseminating information. It used to be known as the Government Public Relations Office. It says that to achieve its objectives, the agency utilizes a broad range of media skill sets: print, radio, television, graphic arts, video projection, and public relations. It was established in 1956. Okay, so now we know before he left Jamaica, he worked for the government. So he's got some connections in government. And he's not the only one, because that newspaper article goes on to inform us that his bride, who we're told is Kamala's mother, is the daughter of Mr. P.V. Goplin, the Deputy Secretary of the Government of India. So she is also connected to the government of India, and her dad is the deputy secretary of the government of India. That's just a thing that I think is important to know, that these two people worked for the government and they came together and they got married. Now, we still could not find a marriage record between these two, but it may be plausible that they got married somewhere else, but at least we see the announcement.
Yeah.
So I thought, now let's focus on his father, right? I'm looking for something to attach Oscar to Beryl, presumably, if this is a family that is important enough to have wedding announcements in the newspaper. Maybe we will be able to stumble upon something between Oscar and Beryl. Now, I want to remind you that Kamala brought up Oscar J. Harris, her grandfather, in her book, and she reveals a picture of him on page 282. So I'm going to show you that right now. It reads, "When I was 10 months old, I visited Spanish Town, Jamaica. This is me with my mother and my paternal grandfather, Oscar Joseph." So we know his name is Oscar Joseph Harris.
Oscar Joseph.
And we know that that's what he looks like thanks to Kamala Harris's book. Great. Love that. So I looked him up, and at first the father came up for a bankruptcy hearing announcement. This is dated, by the way, March 11th, 1939. So this would have been 1 year after Donald was allegedly born. It just reads, "In the matter of bankruptcy petition against Reginald Victor Harris, Oscar Joseph Harris, and Newton Alexander Harris of Brownstown in the parish of St. Anne, trading as Harris Bros, take notice that the above named intend to apply for the revocation of the provisional order of bankruptcy made against them in this honorable court on the 6th day of January 1939. Okay, so we know that they were apparently going through some bankruptcy proceedings, and they were fighting those bankruptcy proceedings. They were going...
Boy. I can guarantee you now, I bet Kamala Harris wish that Candace Owens never did this right here. And I'm happy Candace Owens is doing this, because nobody else is going to do this, especially like I mentioned before. The mainstream media is not going to cover this. They're not going to ask her anything about what's in this book. Is everything truthful? Because the woman just continues to lie. And that's why they keep giving the softball questions on them interviews. Never any pushback. So it done got to the point now where Kamala feel like long as she stay over there with the softball interviews and stuff gonna get handed to her over there on MSNBC, CNN, she'll never have to explain herself. And that's the reason why she's getting dominated right now by Donald Trump in the polls, because people are starting to wake up. You know, a lot of us already, pretty much knew about this, that she's a liar. But a lot of people who probably was on her side started to see, like, this woman is fake. She's lying about everything. And now with Candace Owens bringing this out right now, oh, my God. You can't tell me Kamala Harris is not freaking out. Because I'm pretty sure she didn't seen this right here, what Candace Owens is doing. You heard what Candace Owens said earlier in this video. Kamala didn't seen this. She ain't going to respond to it because she's going to try to act like she don't see this. Because these videos Candace Owens is doing is getting millions of views. So I know that somebody from Kamala Harris' team is seeing this and they done showed it to her. But she's not going to speak on it. Because Kamala is a liar. She's the same woman that keep talking about she worked at McDonald's. What proof do you have that you worked there? There's no proof. You just saying you work somewhere, but there's no proof of you working there. So, like, when we starting to unfold all of this, it's like, it's hard to believe her because she lies about everything. Now she want to pander and say she's black. So Candace Owens said, okay, since you want to pander and say that you black, let's find out, is you really black? Let's find out. So I think Candace Owens is doing a good job here. So let's keep this going.
Stand against them. But what's relevant there is that we know it's him because it lists his brothers. It lists that they're from Brownstown. And we have fact-checked that genealogy. So this is the correct family. This is the grandfather that Kamala is referring to in her book. Yeah. Here is where it is going to get crazy. Buckle up. I really hope you guys are sitting for this. He came up again. And fortunately, it was for a wedding. Unfortunately, it was not for a wedding to Beryl. Instead, just like Beryl married somebody else, apparently he married somebody else. Wow. Now, this clipping is from June 9th, 1952. Look at this. It says, Oscar Harris weds Vioris Cambridge. Now, I want you to look at this photo. And it certainly looks like, and I know it's a shadow on the left-hand side, but I'm going, that looks like the picture. You can tell by that balding pattern of the person that Kamala has presented to us as her grandfather. And he looks mixed race to me, but that woman on the right looks white to me. Now, I know you're going, Candace, that's crazy. It's a black and white photo, but, you know, there's a certain way when you're photographing a black woman that she comes across, and that ain't it, my friends. But again, that was a theory. Let's read the article.
Oh, man.
It reads, Vioris Cambridge, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge of St. Elizabeth, that's another parish in Jamaica,
okay,
became the bride of Oscar Harris of Browntown, St. Anne, at a beautiful ceremony in the St. Andrew Parish Church, Halfway Tree, on Thursday last night. Her slenderness enhanced by a gown of white nylon and chantilly lace. The bride, carrying a bouquet of white asters, was given in marriage by her father. Her only attendant, her sister, Carmen Cambridge, wore a gown of aqua nylon and chantilly lace with a bouquet of pink rosebuds. The best man in the ceremony, performed by the Reverend Grant Levi of Montego Bay, was Mr. Newton Harris, brother of the groom. During the signing of the register, Mr. Gene McDonald sang, "I'll walk beside you," and "Because," at a reception held at the home of the bride's uncle on Chester Avenue, Mr. Milton Hamilton was master of ceremonies. I just went, what the heck is this?
Yeah, this is...
First and foremost, how odd that Donald J. Harris, as he's recollecting these memories from his childhood, now has left out the part where Beryl married someone when he would have been 6 years old and would have been his stepfather. But he's also now leaving out the fact that his mother similarly married someone when he was a little bit older. I mean, that his father similarly married someone when he was a little bit older. And that woman, at least according to my eyes, appears to me to be fully Caucasian. But I said, that sounds crazy. Let me see if I can find this woman, Vioris Cambridge, by a quick Google search. Like, where? That's quite a different name, Vioris. I've never heard it before. Certainly, something's going to pop up. And certainly, just one thing did. And it was a funeral entry of a white woman.
Wow.
Who died in Broward County. And what I noticed about this entry was that it was very scant on details. I'm going to show this to you. Okay? Vioris Anita McPherson, it says. And I'm looking at that face on the left there and I'm going, I recognize that face. This woman looks familiar to me. Am I crazy? Are you guys seeing? She looks a little bit like Kamala Harris. There's something about the smirk. I don't know. Am I crazy? So I said, let me not jump to conclusions. Maybe I am just so down far the rabbit hole that I'm seeing Kamala's face. So I read this entry and it says, it is with great sadness that the family of Vioris Anita Harris McPherson Cambridge, in parentheses, so we know that that's her maiden name right there, announces her passing on Saturday, June 15th, 2019. She will be lovingly remembered by her children and spouses, her grandchildren and spouses, her great-grandchildren, cousins, nieces, nephews, and friends. We will celebrate her life on Saturday, June 29th, 2019 at 10 o'clock a.m. at Christ the Rock Community Church. It gives the address there, and it says where they will immediately follow at a reception hall. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Alzheimer's Foundation in memory of Vioris Harris McPherson. So nothing given to us there. Literally nothing given to us about our family. Have you ever seen that? Usually survived by a sister, a cousin, a brother. I went to see if anybody posted anything. It says she has a really big family. I was like, okay, well, certainly somebody would have posted on the board. You know, people do that all the time. I'm so sorry for your loss. Love you. Cousin, I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Hug, kisses, nothing. Very weird. I then tried to look this woman up in Broward County records, and it just looks like people are trying to protect who she was. It doesn't tell me who she's married. I don't see anything there in Broward County. It just says an entry for
yeah, that's why I'm saying I feel like something is just like somebody's hiding something. It's just so much to unfold. The reason why I'm just paying attention, I'm like, oh my God, it's like one thing after another. And with Kamala Harris being a liar, her dad a Marxist professor. So it's like, come on, man. And I'm just as confused as Candace is. Oh, man, this is not good.
A marriage that took place in 1994. And I also see that she's got another name there, McPherson. So maybe she got remarried. But it at least tells us that her birthday was October 7th, 1927. So I thought to myself, can I find a woman, a white woman who was born in Jamaica with that exact birth date, with that exact name? It's, like I said, a very different name, Vioris. And the answer is yes, we did. We were able to locate her birth certificate. And now we know why it said that she was married to V.S. Cambridge. It had listed her father as V.S. Cambridge, Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge. That's because her father's name is Vivian. Her mother's name is Adina Wright. And here you have it, born in Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is... here she is. And this is this woman, Vioris Cambridge, born to Vivian Cambridge and Adina Wright on October 7th, 1927 in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. What the hell is going on?
I'm trying to figure out the same thing.
Who is this woman? Why hasn't this been mentioned? Why does it feel like this profile was being very hidden? And again,
it does seem like it's been very hidden and stuff too. And then you see Kamala like in that picture, you know, with the woman that's supposed to have been passed in 1960, and Kamala wasn't born to 1964. And then you like, did she take a picture with somebody else's grandma and trying to say that was her grandma? Like it just so much confusion going on that Candace has to go down this road to find out who is Kamala Harris' real family and why and then like I said before, she never mentions her dad. At the DNC, she didn't say not one thing about her dad. It was just all about my mama did this, my mama did that, my mama did this, and my mama did that. She never mentions her dad at all. So that's why I say this is just getting like way out of hand. It's like, what is going on here? Because it's confusing the mess out of me.
As Donald was jumping in to his family background and speaking about how Jamaican it was, why didn't he mention this? Why didn't he mention this woman, his white relatives? It might be relevant when we're having a discussion about Kamala's race to mention the fact that your dad married a white woman. I'm just saying, here's another picture of her, and there's something familiar about her smile. There's something familiar. I'm looking at this woman, I'm going, this woman looks to me like Kamala Harris. Now, something even weirder, the person who did create something for her online, okay, who created a profile for her on Ancestry.com, look what he put in the middle of her name. He lists her name as Vioris Anita Iris Cambridge.
Ooh.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So we looked into this briefly. And again, all of this has transpired within the last 4 hours. So we are not as organized about this, or I shouldn't say, we are not as certain about this, but it looks like the person who made this entry was a member of her extended family. It looks like she got remarried in 1994 in America and that's where she picks up the name McPherson. And that individual put Iris in quotation marks. Is it possible that Donald J. Harris, when he's fondly remembering Miss Iris, could be speaking about this woman? Yeah, it's possible. Everything's a possibility.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's very scant on the details here. What we do know is that he declined to mention this woman. He declined to mention someone that his father married who was completely white. And as I said, I wouldn't have an issue with this if people were forthcoming and spoke about this. The press, as you're out there referring to Janet Jackson, is crazy, right? For suggesting, what did Janet Jackson say? She said that she heard that Kamala's father, Donald J. Harris, was Irish. Can somebody pull up that picture of Vioris again? She heard that his family was Irish. I think Vioris, maybe Vioris Cambridge, might be Irish. Was she so crazy to mention that, press? Would it be?
And that was the thing, though. Janet Jackson, she just said, I heard like she literally said, I heard about that, Kamala Harris wasn't black. That was she heard. So, and the media absolutely just straight went off on Janet Jackson for no reason. And Janet Jackson didn't even confirm it. She didn't say, I know she ain't. She just said, I heard. And they just straight went off on her. This is what the media is trying to do to protect Kamala Harris. That's why she ain't really doing a lot of interviews and like more tougher interview, because she got the media, CNN, she got all of them backing her. They protecting her, covering her in good light 100% of the time while talking negative on Donald Trump 100% of the time. And this is the type of question, like she ain't gonna answer any tough questions. And they just straight try to go off on Janet Jackson because she said she heard that she was not black. Because that's what Kamala Harris is trying to claim now, that she's black, because she want more black people to vote for her because of skin color. And I don't even like identity politics. We vote on policies, what's going to help us. It's like, come on, man. Let's go.
Be so crazy if you guys did your actual job and looked into these things, as opposed to constantly trying to obscure things to protect your preferred candidates because you believe she should just be handed this.
Yep.
Now the question is it possible that the woman that we're looking at right there is Kamala's grandmother? Is it possible, based on the records that we have, that Beryl and Donald never did marry? Is it possible Beryl and Oscar, never did marry? Is it possible, is it feasible that marriage never took place and they both married two different people, and that instead at some point when they decided to blackify Kamala's history, they included this Beryl as her grandmother? Is it possible? I don't want to go too far down conspiracy lane, but I'm telling you that we're close here. This is a big missing piece of her family history that should have been mentioned, okay? And I find it highly suspicious. I do not think that we have answers still on who Donald Harris is. I do not trust him. I do not trust him just having discovered this information and realizing that he left out two significant marriages.
Yep.
And is instead focusing on Kamala's great-grandmother, referring to her as Miss Iris. Who is Miss Iris actually? I can tell you that, again, we came across all of this in the last few hours, but we're going to stay on them, because now that we have found this piece and we have found this white woman, and again, I'm not trying to call her out for being white, but I'm just saying that she is a white woman. She's very white, and Janet Jackson was not crazy to suggest this. And now we know that somebody is putting her in quotation marks as Iris, and a picture is starting to come together. Let me say this. If, and I'm not saying this is true, but if we find out that woman is Kamala's real grandmother, and can we get a side-by-side of Kamala? If we find out that is Kamala's real grandmother, and that she decided to appropriate the domestic help who potentially died younger as her grandmother, we are watching one of the most diabolical political moves that we have ever seen in the history of this country.
I'm telling you.
I just want to say that. I'm not saying it's true, again, but I'm saying that I don't like the picture. I always find that the dog that isn't barking, the fact that they never mentioned these marriages, the fact that they laughed people out of the room when they suggested that Kamala Harris could be white, and the fact that they just refused to mention any aspect of this and are remaining hush-hush on it, doesn't make me feel good. I don't trust these people. There's something about Kamala saying she's in these streets that doesn't make me feel
just
that
don't
she's
hear
being
right.
honest about who she actually is. I'm not going to let go of this. Again, we are getting closer and closer, and I will bet you the DNC is paying attention to this show now. All right, guys, before we cover some...
All right, man. Great job by Candace Owens. And if y'all heard what she said she's not going to stop. She's going to keep digging. And guess what? The more Candace Owens keep digging on this story, we're going to bring y'all the video. And just so y'all can stay up to date on everything that's going on. Because we've been calling this out for the longest, especially when I got a wind of it. When I see that she get on the phone, that Kamala Harris gets on the phone with like black people, she start to say, girl, I'm in these streets. But then, let's just say she talked to a white person. She don't talk like that. You know, because a black person, like the way we talk, we're going to talk like that regardless of whoever else we talking to. But if you watch Kamala Harris, depending on who she's talking to, what crowd she's in front of, she switches her accents. She does this all the time. Look, when she was talking on the phone, I forgot what actor it was. She was talking on the phone. She was like, girl, we in these streets. But you never hear her talk like that. Like when she's talking to somebody else. So all of this stuff is starting to come out, man. And like I said before, Candace Owens she said she's not going to give up. She got Kamala Harris, she done made the wrong person mad now. So like I said, make sure y'all please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I will keep y'all up to date with this entire story. So make sure you are subscribed. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss out. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.